And I'm super happy that everyone's here. We've got a lot of RockStar squad members, which is awesome. We're a little RockStar marketing biased in this particular presentation. What I invite everyone to do is to participate in the chat. Go ahead and have yourself on mute unless you want to speak to Sara about one specific point. But yeah, this is going to be a great presentation because I have seen it. She taught this at Vision, and she is a superstar. Sara Fraser is the daughter of Bill Haas. Bill Haas is a wonderful human being who is a coach in the automotive repair industry. And of course, he has his wonderful daughter who is helping him with the business. And if you don't mind, Sara, explain what it is that you're doing for your dad and how you guys are partnering. And how is it to work with your dad? Like, I know working with family is like kind of what we're used to in the auto repair industry. Does he let you shine in these certain things, or and give you a voice, or how does that work in the family dynamic?
Well, if you've ever heard my dad talk, you know, sometimes it's hard to get a word in. But no, we do work really, really well. He's awesome to work with. It's been a great couple of years being part of the company. Basically, what happened was I was working as an office manager for a used car dealership and service center, job that I got completely by accident, wasn't looking for it, kind of fell into it, and ended up there with this company that was a one-man shop. By the time I left, we were up to 16 people. We acquired another building. You know, I just grew a lot in this job that I had taken to work 15 hours a week and answer the phones, and then ended up learning QuickBooks and payroll and marketing and all of the things. Literally, by the time I left there, I could do anything in that business except for work on a car. Like, I couldn't fix the car, but I could do the financing. I could write the sales contract. I could do pretty much everything. So I learned a lot. And then it was just kind of, I wanted to grow and do something a little bit different. And my dad and I had been talking a lot, and it was just, I want to do something, but I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like there's something else I'm supposed to be doing, but I couldn't quite figure it out. And I knew I'm a very creative, artsy kind of person, and I wanted to incorporate that a little bit more. I wanted a flexible work schedule. And so we kind of just started chatting about what it is that I could do. And I started doing social media for his clients. So he's a coach in the automotive industry, and I started taking on a lot of the social media role. Beyond that, I do a lot of training as well. So things like this, which my dad was speaking in Chicago a few years back, and I went to see him because it's close to where I live. And after the class, I was like, yeah, I could do what you do. And he pretty much made me put my money where my mouth was. So that's kind of how I ended up here. And working with family for me, it's great, but we live states apart. He lives in Texas, I live in Wisconsin. So it's not like we're in the same office, you know, face to face all the time. But it has been really cool because we get the opportunity to see each other a lot more because, well, prior to COVID, you know, we're going to conferences together, we're traveling, you know, we get to go do all these things. So it's actually been really, really awesome. I've enjoyed just my like becoming part of the automotive industry and how welcoming and friendly everybody was. You know, like you were talking about, like we're both doing marketing, but we're not competing, you know, like we're lifting each other up, and it's just been a really awesome experience being part of the industry. So
Oh yeah, there's so much room for all of us. There is so much room. I mean, look at it. We are helping a giant industry, right? And for Rockstar Marketing, we're working with the top 10%, right? But there are others that are coming up through the ranks, right? And it's exciting to give them information that is helpful. So if they want to do it themselves, great. Go ahead and do it yourself. And then when you figure out that you don't have the time to do it, great. Contact us, contact Sara, whoever you resonate with, that
right,
you know will take good care of you. Because yes, our industry is large yet small at the same time, isn't it? And
exactly.
the movers and shakers, they all really know each other well. And so I adore you, and I am super excited. So everybody, let's sit down at the feet of Sara Fraser and learn what this gal has to teach us about what I want from an automotive repair shop.
Thank you so much. So yeah, so this course is probably my favorite class that I teach because it is literally my perspective. No one else can teach you this. Like, this is the things that I personally, as a soon to be 36-year-old, want from the experience I'm going to have in an automotive repair shop. I already kind of did my introduction, so I'm just going to skip past the slide. So let's just jump into the introduction to millennials. Whoa, 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 what is happening? Hold on. My slides just want to keep going. I must have clicked too many times. Okay.
They're so excited that they just
No,
want
like
to
it's
go,
just,
but that's okay. And I love, by the way, I'm loving your graphics. Very, very cool. Very cool.
and that's what was fun about just putting this class together too, was like, I'm going to make it very me. So you'll see some glitter, you'll see some pink. I mean, I might have a thing with pink. So yeah, what you're going to hear today is it is about millennials, but it's also very much me as a millennial and the things that I want. And I've run a lot of these things past my friends in my age group too. And for the most part, they're all very on board with the things I'm going to say. So how old are the millennials? Right now, we are about, why is every time I go a slide, it just wants to go all of the slides? This is going to drive me crazy. We're 24 to 39 years old. There are 1.8 billion of us, so there's a lot of us. And that's why we talk about the millennials a lot, because we are a huge part of the population. We're talking about Gen Z a lot now too. I think Gen Z is encroaching on being, I think, 24% of our population right now. So between Gen Z and the millennials, we are a huge percentage. And that's why we need to talk about how the millennials think and what it is that we want from different industries. You know, you hear about millennials killing industries, right? I don't think millennials are killing industries. I think industries didn't change and keep up with what millennials and Gen Z and these younger generations want. So I literally haven't touched anything and it's just going. We're 43% of the workforce. I'm just going to go with it, I guess. So yeah, basically there's a lot of us out there. So then I always think about like who the world thinks we are. And this picture I pulled up because I think this is when people hear millennial, this is kind of who we think of. We think of this younger person, possibly a student. But really looking at this photo, I think the only person in this photo who's probably a millennial is the gentleman who's sitting there looking like the teacher. None of these other people in this photo are millennials. This is Generation Z. So I think we just have, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
We,
the millennials are older than we think, and yeah, stop narking on them, right?
exactly. And I think you have a customer that comes in that looks really young and you've been trained so much about millennials and so now you have this in your head, oh, I gotta treat them like a millennial. Well, really this is Generation Z and they're quite different from us. So and I do teach a lot on Generation Z too. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it today, but just kind of wanted to put a visual up there. When you're looking at somebody under the age of 24, you're now talking about Generation Z. This is not a millennial. So then I pulled up a different picture. This is kind of probably more accurate of the age group of the millennial. You know, this person might be working from a coffee shop, which is something, you know, we like the flexible work style, lifestyle. We like to hang out in coffee shops. Not to be like overly stereotypical, but was just trying to find a stock photo that would more capture the millennial than what I think a lot of us think of. And then I want to talk about some millennial stereotypes. And this one just blows my mind, is that millennials are lazy. And I don't know necessarily where this came from, but now we're hearing it about Generation Z, that Generation Z is lazy. So I'm like, is it just when we first start talking about these generations, they're in their early 20s, you know, is it more of a maturity thing? Because when I think about it, I, at one point in my life, worked 3 jobs at once. I had friends who worked multiple jobs while going to school full time. And so I really struggle with this lazy stereotype when talking about the millennial. I don't think it fits at all. I think that we just throw this on the youngest generation. We think they're lazy. We think they have really bad work ethic, which is not necessarily true. I think Chris just said something. Let me see if I can open the chat without my thing going crazy here.
Oh no, Chris didn't say anything in the chat. Oh, here we go. I feel like when people first started saying this, they were confusing Gen Z with millennials. And you know what? This has been going on for millennia. Okay, I remembered reading Latin script about how the Romans were complaining that this young generation of kids are just so horrible, and that the world is going to end with them. So this is a generational thing of humanity. It's it just happens. I think what it is it's professional jealousy. The parents are so tired and the kids are sleeping in and they're wishing that they could. You know?
Right. That could very well be true. So I'm going to give you a couple of different adjectives about millennials to think about instead of thinking about the millennials being lazy. So millennials are highly adaptive. We're tech savvy. We're multitaskers. We're team players. We're resourceful. These are all really, really good qualities that millennials bring to the table. So instead of like having this negative thought in our head when we think about them, these are other things that we could think about instead and try to focus on the positive. So there's another word, you guys might have seen it because my slides went crazy, but there's another word that tends to come to mind all the time with millennials that we hear more than anything else. And that is that millennials are entitled. Like this is probably the number one thing that millennials are so entitled. They think everything should be handed to them. But why is that? We were kind of raised in this generation of the trophy kids. Everybody got a ribbon for showing up. We got a gold star at the end of the day for participating. And then we were also raised being told that we were gonna have it so much better. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna get a degree, you're gonna have the amazing job, you're gonna have a career, you're gonna have the house, you're gonna have the car, you're gonna have the lifestyle, you're gonna have it so much better than we did. Mm. In reality, that's not what happened. It's not what happened at all for most of us. I didn't go to college for 4 years. I went to a tech school for a year, but I have friends who did the 4-year school path. They're not working in the field that they went to school for, and they're still paying off student loans. You know, it wasn't our reality. We weren't given this path that we kind of had been told our whole lives. You're going to have this. You can do anything you want, which is great for us to think we can. And I truly do think that I can do anything. And I think most millennials feel that way. And maybe that's why people think we're entitled, because we have this like sometimes my dad will be like, hey, do you think you could do a class on this? And before even really looking at it, I'm just like, yeah, I can do it. I think I can do anything, you know, like we're just really confident. But I don't think we're entitled. I don't feel that any of us think that we should just be handed things, because I do think we all work very, very hard for the things we want. But millennials want this lifestyle. We want to go to the concerts and we want to travel and we want to buy all the nice things. But I think at the same time, we've learned we have to work really hard to get the things that we want. And millennials also like to play first and work later. So it's just kind of a different way of doing things, a different way of thinking about things. So instead of thinking about the millennial as entitled, let's think about the millennial as having a stronger drive for achievement. We are very confident people who just really want a lot. But that doesn't mean that because we want a lot, we're not willing to work for it too. So just wanted to cover some of those millennial stereotypes there. There's something in the chat. But lack of understanding, Gen X and the boomers think that Gen Z is lazy for exactly. Millennials are kind of caught in the crossfire. It's interesting, this whole generational thing that's happened now with like Gen Z coming for millennials coming for boomers with the okay boomer thing. I find it all kind of humorous, but it is interesting at the same time just how very different we all are.
Love it. It's so true. It's so true.
Yes. So I don't know. Let's go backwards here. So now that we've covered a couple of stereotypes, we're going to get into what it is that I want from an automotive repair shop. I want my computer to stop having a mind of its own. It seems like if I hold my mouse down while I'm on the slide, it stays. But if I let it go, it just goes.
Must be on a timer or something.
Little red dot. That's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like holding.
That's okay. That's okay. Keep going, girl. Keep going.
I'm a millennial. I should understand technology, but I don't know what's happening right now. So when I'm going to go to an automotive repair shop, the very first thing I'm going to do before I ever even consider picking up the phone and calling you, which I'm most likely not going to do because I don't like to talk on the phone. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Before I even go to your website to try to book an appointment, I'm gonna look at your reviews. It's the number one thing I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do this not just for automotive repair, but pretty much for any service. If I'm looking for a new hairstylist, or if I'm looking for a new massage therapist, or if I'm buying a new appliance, I'm reading reviews. If I'm buying a piece of furniture on Amazon, I just bought a new desk. I read so many reviews, like I would find a desk and I thought, oh, that looks really nice. And then you read all the reviews about how like horrible it is and it falls apart and it doesn't have tracks for the drawers. And you're like, oh, that's not what I want at all. So I'm going to read your reviews. If as a shop you don't have a lot of reviews right now, this is the number one thing that I can recommend, is that you start getting them. And the way you're going to get them is to ask for them. Like, ask your best customers, ask the people who have been coming to you for a long time. If you had somebody that you blew away and they had such a great experience, ask them to share it. Ask them to leave you a review because that's really, really, really important. The other thing is, on the flip side of this, you're probably going to get 1 or 2 bad reviews. It happens. We cannot make everybody happy, right? So when you get that bad review, and now I, as a new customer, am looking at your business and I'm reading your reviews, the way that you respond to that bad review is so important to me. And it's so when you really have that customer who's super upset and they write this whole thing about how you ruined their car and you ruined their life and you did this and that broke and it was way too expensive and you were rude and all, like the worst thing, like just drags you through the mud. When you go to respond to that, you really have to think about who is reading your response. And instead of writing that response to that customer specifically, write that response to every prospective new customer that could be coming to your shop, because that's who's reading it. I'm reading that. I'm reading to see how you are taking care of people who are upset. So, my suggestions are to be empathetic, to apologize, to offer a solution. I'm so-and-so the owner. I'm so sorry you had this awful experience. Let's take care of it. This is what we can do. Call me at your earliest convenience, whatever, because that's what I want to see. If I see somebody responding to a bad review and they just throw all the blame back on the customer, oh, well, you did this and you did that and blah, 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 and it was all your fault. And that might be the case, but I don't want to, like, I'm not going to come to your shop. Like, that's just going to be so off-putting to me to see that somebody had a really bad experience and you just blamed it all on them and didn't take care of it. So get reviews, ask your best customers for reviews. When you have those bad reviews, please, please, please respond, and respond to all of your potential new customers, because that's who's looking at those for the most part. That person who's upset might not ever even read your response. They might be so done with you, they've moved on, they don't care. So when you're responding to that, just think about everyone else who might be coming. The next thing I want from an automotive repair shop is the availability to book online. I hate talking on the phone. I hate picking up the phone. It's just something I don't like to do. Most of my friends don't like to do it either. Like, we don't talk on the phone at all, ever. We text message, we Snapchat, it's just talking on the phone is not something we're into. So I want the availability to book online, and especially when it comes to automotive repair, because my fear and my anxiety about having to pick up the phone and call a shop is that you're going to ask me a bunch of questions and I'm not going to know the answers to them. Okay. I know my car is a 2014 Subaru. I know what color it is. Beyond that, I don't really know a whole lot about it other than that I like it. And so, like, recently I just brought my car in because it was making a funny noise and I'm like, please don't make me explain this noise on the phone. Like, I don't know if you've ever, there's an episode of Gilmore Girls where Lorelai's bringing her car or something and she has to make the noise on the phone to like 3 other people. And I'm like, that is the experience I don't want. Don't make me make the noise. Just let me book online. Let me tell you what's going on. I don't want to talk on the phone. Chances are, if I go to, yes, exactly. If I go to a website and I'm looking at a new place to take my vehicle, if they don't even have an option to book online, I'm probably moving on to the next one. So,
oh, it's so true. We're so accustomed to it now that we can do so much online. And I confess, like, I'll send out text messages like all the time, assuming that people have it on silent, or when they're going to sleep. And poor Chris, he's 3 hours ahead of me, and he's like, yes, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
right?
We're round the clock responders nowadays because we're so used to that option. Yeah.
Time zone difference.
And that leads me into the next thing perfectly, is to respect my preferred method of communication. So like you were saying, you text somebody and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning there. But the nice thing about a text message, it's not that intrusive, right? Like a text message probably won't wake me up. Or even if I'm in the middle of doing something, a text message it's okay. Like, most of us have something on our watch where we can look and see what it is and then go back and call the person a little bit later. So this is huge to me, is to respect my preferred method of communication. So I brought my car to a shop about a year ago when we first moved to Madison, and they had a way to make the appointment online, which I was like, this is awesome. So I'm making the appointment. And then it said, how do you want to be contacted? Phone, text, email. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I put text. I'm like, yep, absolutely great. da 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 da, submitted the thing for my appointment. 2 minutes later, my phone rings. And I look at it and it's a Madison area code. So I knew it was a shop calling me, picked up the phone. Sure enough, it was them. I'm like, why did you even ask? Oh, how I want you to communicate with me if you're going to completely ignore it and call me anyway. Like if I wanted to talk on the phone, I would have called you in the first place. Like I wouldn't have booked the appointment online. So if somebody's reaching, and if you haven't asked their preferred method of communication, go by how they reached out to you. If they've emailed you, they probably want to be emailed back. If they've texted you, they want to be texted back. With that, I do 100% understand that there is going to be a point in time where you're going to need to talk to me on the phone. Maybe something's going on with my car and you've looked at it and it's not a text message conversation. You need to talk to me. I totally understand that. Text me first and say, hey, we just looked at your car. I'd really like to have a conversation about you with it. Is now a good time to talk? If not, when can I call you? Because now then I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I have 5 minutes now. I can talk to you, or I can text you back, or I can call you back, or I can let you know, hey, I have a break in 2 hours. Can you call me then? And then I'm also prepared to talk to you. You're not catching me off guard. I'm prepared to listen to what you're going to tell me. And you want your customer to be in that position where they're not doing 5 million other things when you're trying to you're trying to sell service and my focus is somewhere else. So if you set that expectation of, okay, I'm going to call you at this time, now I'm ready and my focus is completely on that phone call instead of 500 other things. So this is huge for me, for the automotive industry or any other industry, is just to respect my preferred method of communication, have a way that I can book online, all of those things. I don't make appointments for anything over the phone anymore. My vet, my nail appointment, like everything is done via some sort of online or app type thing. So I'm gonna take a drink real quick.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I myself, I'm comfortable with doing pretty much everything. And then a lot of people that I know internationally, they want to talk on WhatsApp. And I'm like, oh, another thing, another
Right.
thing to
One more
add.
thing we have to learn.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so many platforms, but that's okay. Like for us, we're using Slack, which is also super helpful. Slack is great. Text is great. So many different ways of communicating with people. Yeah.
Yes. So this is one other thing I want from an automotive repair shop, and I've talked about this a few times. I think this first came up when I was doing a podcast with Carm at Remarkable Results, and we kind of were talking about it. I want a subscription-based service from an automotive repair shop. When you think about it, like right now, I probably have 5 different subscriptions I pay for every month. I have one. My dog has one. We get a box in the mail every month with things for my dog. I have makeup subscriptions. We have all sorts of, audiobook subscriptions, all different things that we pay monthly for. Why can't I have something like that for my car? So then when I need my oil changed, or I need my headlight changed, or it's making a funny noise and I have to bring it in. Why can't I have something where I just pay X amount of dollars a month for Y amount of services? So I understand like this wouldn't encompass big auto repairs, things like that. This would be more like your oil changes, your light bulbs, inspections,
Right.
brakes, something like that. Like you would set the parameters, but then I would know, and also I'm more likely now when my oil change is due, I'm already paying for it. I might as well bring it in and get it done.
Right.
So I like that concept. We do have a client who's doing something similar right now. They're doing like a yearly subscription that encompasses a lot of stuff. So there's different ways to go about it, but just some type of subscription, but then also kind of pair it with, let's say you have a punch card right now, something like that, like a VIP club, a VIP access. If I'm part of this subscription, now I'm part of this like super special group of people. I'm going to get special treatment when I come in. Maybe when I drop my car off, now I get a coffee and a cookie or something, or my name, you know who I am. I don't have to feel uncomfortable coming in. And then maybe down the road, if I do need a really big repair, because I'm part of this super special group, I get like a discount or a bonus or something for being part of this. Millennials like to feel special. Make us feel special. Roll out the red carpet. Give us the fancy treatment. And the thing is, we're willing to pay for it, right? Like I'm willing to pay for a monthly service if I'm getting all of these benefits, if I'm getting treated like a princess every time I bring my car in. Maybe that means I get a ride home, or maybe you bring me to the mall while you're doing my oil change or something, like whatever it is that you can do to make us feel special. That's something that I want. And yes, different tiers of subscriptions, definitely. I've seen some people kind of playing with that too. So I've been talking about this for I think like 2 years now, and I'm hoping it starts to catch on. I've seen a couple shops kind of playing around with it, so we'll see. I think another chat just came in and I missed it.
But you're right. Subscriptions are so true. It's true. It's like it makes total sense. And I think the auto repair industry, they have the concierge service, but it's not quite subscription, but it's almost like the bridging of that gap. Yeah. And then also too, here's another thought for anybody who's the business side of it. It's it's revenue that you can count on every month. It is another revenue stream. So yes, it is for your VIP client or your, certain tier, different types of clients, but it's a really great way to make sure that your cash flow is positive. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And you know, some of us have subscriptions we pay for every month and never use. I may or may not have a gym membership that I haven't gone to in over a year and that I might still be paying on, you know?
Right?
So
Hello.
it
Yes,
is revenue.
I concur.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to figure out how to do this in a way, you know, and then it keeps us coming back. And then if I have something like this, my friends are going to know about it. They're going to be interested. This is the one thing I've really talked with my friends about is would you, if an automotive repair shop offered this, would you do it? And every time I say it to somebody, they're like, why is that not a thing? Why is nobody doing this? Like, why is nobody offering this? So something to think about. Like, I know there's a lot of things going into figuring out all the keys of making it happen, but if somebody could make this happen really, really well, I'd be super interested to hear how it goes because it's definitely something I would sign up for. The next thing that I want from an automotive repair shop is an app. So there's an app for that. There's an app for everything. If you look at your phone right now, you probably have more apps than you even think that you do. You probably use apps more times a day than you even know. The reason I like having an app for, like, I have an app for my vet, and it's the most convenient thing ever because I can make my appointments through it. If my dogs are due for something. So my oldest dog was just due for his rabies vaccination. I got a push notification through my phone on my app. Didn't even have to open an email, didn't have to go through all that. It came right into my, you know, and I just clicked on it and then, do you want to schedule it? Yep, okay, let's schedule it, done. Didn't have to talk to anybody. It was super easy, didn't inconvenience my day. The other nice thing about apps is, you know, you can put push notifications for sales and things like that in it, for specials. You can do reminders. Some of them have it set up to where, you know, you can pay your bill on there and then leave a review right after you pay for your bill. There's a thing that says leave a review. So that goes back to the very first slide. How are we getting those reviews? We got to ask for them. So, and I just think apps are huge. I think if you're not using one, it's a big missed opportunity, especially with millennials and the younger generation. This will probably not be for every single one of your customers. This is probably not something that all of your customers are going to want to use. And that's totally fine because you don't need them to. This shouldn't be something that's necessary to be a customer of your shop. It should just be a perk for people who do want to use it and do want access to it and want to be able to communicate with you that way through an app and have all the benefits. A lot of them too, like you can keep a punch card on your app so you don't have to keep a card in your wallet for your, you know, VIP oil change club or whatever you might have that way. So I know there's a lot of companies out there that do this. I think they're really, really awesome. It's definitely worth looking into if you haven't created an app for your business. I just think there's so many benefits to having this. And for me as a customer, it just makes my life so much easier to have that app to go to. All right, this one's big. When I go to an automotive repair shop, I want an Instagram worthy experience. So what does that mean? I want to be able to share my experience because as millennials, we want to share everything. If you work with millennials, you probably know they tell you everything about their lives, even if you didn't ask. And we want to share what we're doing with the whole world. When we talk about Generation Z, this is a little bit less, I think, because they've seen millennials overshare. They maybe don't share as much, but when I go do something, I want to let everyone know I'm doing it. So I'm getting my oil changed, like hashtag adulting. I got my oil changed today, right? I'm probably going to post that somewhere. But what can you do as a shop owner to get me to tag your shop in that? Or if I'm going to post that I'm going to get my oil change done, that's free advertising for you if you can get me to tag you in it and talk about the experience that I had at your shop. So for me, that things that would be Instagram worthy would be a really nice looking waiting room, maybe a big coffee bar, something that I'm like, oh wow, like this is really cool. This is an experience I haven't had before. So it could be something like that, something visual. It could also just be the experience. Like I was treated really, really well, and I really enjoyed the experience I had. So now I'm going to share about it on my social media. Because if it wasn't on social media, did it really happen? Right? We
You
kind of
have a point. You have a very, very good point, Sarah. And I really want to share something that I heard just the other day. Somebody that I is a thought leader. He was having a breakthrough idea. He had a bunch of Gen Zs at his house. They were having a barbecue, enjoying the beach, just kind of enjoying it. So the Gen X's and the millennials were enjoying the sunset, but the Gen Zs in particular were just looking at their phones. They're just looking at their phones. And he was like, oh, Gen X's, they are analog. They're experiencing life through analog. Look at the actual sunset. Look at the different things. But the digital natives, their actual life is through that channel. And so that is where their real life is. And the older generations may not understand it, but yeah, which is real, the sunset shared in Instagram or the actual sunset? Well, to that generation that's digital natives, it's the capturing of that sunset. So you're absolutely right. They want to be able to capture their life and document their life online. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And this my story I usually tell here is I get so mad at my husband when he doesn't wish me a happy birthday on Facebook. He's like, but I said happy birthday to you this morning and I got you flowers and we went out to dinner. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't wish me happy birthday on Facebook where the whole world can see. He's like, but I wished you a happy, but you didn't do it on social media. Like, so that's very just, and my husband, he's a millennial, but he's probably the furthest from all the millennial stereotypes that you can think of. He very much fits almost like Gen X boomer kind of. So he's just like, why? Like, why do I have to get on social media and wish you a happy birthday? So that's, if it wasn't on social media, did it really happen? So give me a way to share my experience of being at your shop. So I kind of mentioned, like having a coffee bar, having something like that. You could also maybe just have a really cool piece of artwork. So this is a photo I shared. This was actually my cover photo on Facebook for a really long time. This is from a restaurant in Vegas called Nacho Daddy, which if you've never been, I cannot recommend them enough. They have hands down the best vegan nachos I've ever had in my life. But they have this really cool sign, I heart nachos. Who doesn't like nachos? Like, of course I'm gonna post that on my social media. It's cute, it's fun. So maybe you have a really cool like piece of a classic car or like a neat artwork, or we were at a restaurant recently and they had a bench out front with this like monkey statue on it, and then they had put a mask over the monkey statue. So we were all putting on our masks and taking a picture with the masked monkey, something like that, because then we're gonna tag where we are and what we're doing. So creating some sort of visual or even just the experience, the going above and beyond and taking care of me and giving me an experience that I'd never had at an automotive repair shop before that I'm going to share and tell everybody about. Because that's what we do. If we have a really good experience, we're going to tell everybody. So this was taken from my social media. I thought I had another photo, maybe not. I had another photo of like a glass of wine that I had posted on social media, and it was like I could have had a glass of wine anywhere, but what was it about that specific place, that experience I was having that made me tag the restaurant I was at and talk about where I was? So that's what I'm talking about when I want an Instagram worthy experience from an automotive repair shop. Now it's not going to be a beautiful sunset or, that kind of a thing, but there's so many things you could do to give me a reason to want to post it and to tag you in it. And again, with that, like create your own hashtag, create a hashtag specific to your company and have a sign up somewhere with it so that people know to post and use that hashtag when they're posting about you. That's huge. So try to think maybe a little outside of the box, something that you could put in your waiting room or just a really cool thing you could do in the shop or even outside, like a statue outside of the shop that might be really cool, and have a hashtag that people could use with that. So we've talked a lot about things that I want from automotive repair shops. We're also going to talk about some things that I don't want so much. And this is we've heard this word how many times over the past couple of years, cancel culture. We're definitely living in an era of cancel culture. We've seen it happen to celebrities, we've seen it happen to companies, but I have to let you know that even as a small business, nobody is immune from cancel culture. Like this, you need to be very careful of what you say and how you present yourself in front of your customers, in front of your employees. There was the town I grew up in, we had a restaurant that had been there before I was born. That was a very popular restaurant, and consequence culture, right? Yes, absolutely. And a couple, like a year or two ago, the owner had made a racist remark in front of a customer. And I think they were talking to an employee or somebody else. They weren't talking to that customer, but the customer overheard it, put it out on social media. It exploded. Past employees of that business started commenting about their experience with that owner, and that business is probably not doing anywhere near as well as it used to be. I'm not even sure if they're still open anymore. But so just be really, really mindful of the things that you're saying in front of your customers, in front of your employees, in your business. Be really mindful of the things your employees are saying and making sure that they know what is and isn't okay to talk about in front of customers, conversations that are, and I'm not going to ever tell you what you can and can't say as a business owner. Like that is completely on you. Like, you need to set your parameters of what you think is acceptable. But just kind of keep in mind, you could be turning a lot of people off from your business. So I'm going to share a real life story that happened when I was working at an automotive dealership and service center. I was out with a friend of mine and he was shooting darts, and I was meeting some new people for the first time that were on his darts league or team or whatever. And I was talking to this person and they were like, oh, where do you work? And I was like, oh, I work at blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, is that the dealership on the corner of? And I'm like, yeah, that's us. And he was like, oh, I would never go there. I would never, ever do business with you guys. And I was just kind of like, what? Because like we had 5-star reviews, we were good, reputable shop in the neighborhood, like very well established, had been there for a long time. So to just hear this person be like, I would never do business with you, I'm like, did you have a bad experience? You know somebody that had, like, what happened? Like, why would you? And he was like, well, no, you guys have that sign up. We had like a scrolling sign on the top of the building. And he goes, one of the things that says is we support our new president. And I'm like, oh, so, those are decisions that business owners make. I will never tell somebody what to say or not to say, but that was an actual experience that I had. So just be mindful of, and I'm not even going to tell you what year this was or who was president, but like, it's just, you just don't know who you're turning off and what, so just to be mindful of those things. Cancel culture is a very consequence culture, as you said too. It's just a real thing, and to just be very, very mindful. I think especially millennials, we're very easy to just stop doing business with places because we know there's a lot of other places out there to do business with. There's there are companies that I won't do business with because maybe of the way they treated their employees or things that I've heard, that just don't fit with my moral compass. But there's so many other options. There's so many other ways to do business now. So like the competition is huge. And so just kind of be mindful of those things, and things that could turn off a millennial.
I totally agree. Like, don't talk politics on your Facebook accounts, especially your business Facebook accounts.
Right.
Just don't go there. You might offend half of your clientele. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where I'm like, I won't tell people what to say or what not to say, but just maybe think about it before you put it out there. Think about it before you say it. And how is the whole world going to react to it? Something else that I really don't want from an automotive repair shop is to be talked tech to. I don't understand. I mean, I do because I've been in the industry, that I know that an LOF is an oil change. But if I hadn't been, I wouldn't know what that is. I don't know what, diagnostics. That could mean anything. If you're charging me for diagnostics, please explain what it is that you did. Create some value. Take that as an opportunity to create value and really talk about, we did this, this is this, or, maybe you have it written out in the repair order, what was all done in that, but don't use terminology and words that are not part of my everyday, vocabulary, because it's going to go over my head. And I'm not going to tell you that I don't understand it, because I'm just going to nod and smile and act like I know what you're talking about. And then it's just going to, I'm like, and then I'm going to talk to my dad and he's going to be like, oh, what'd they do to your car? And I'm like, I don't know, but it costs this much, Don't let your customer leaving knowing they spent a bunch of money, but not knowing why, because there's no value in that. And I might not come back because I'm like, wow, that was a lot of money and I have no idea what they even did to my car. So explain it to me, but don't talk tech to me. A great way to explain things to me is to show me what's actually happening. And it's so easy to do this now with, you can snap a photo of whatever it is in my car and text it to me. I don't even have to be there. I don't have to physically be there for you to show me what's going on in my car. Um, a really good example of this is brake pads, right? So let's say my brake pads are really, really worn and you're going to text me a picture to show me. On the other side of that, if you're going to show me what's really, really bad about my car, please also show me an example of what it should look like. Because if you just text me this picture and you're like, yeah, these are really worn out, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it's, isn't that how they always look? Like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. So if you're using an app or using some sort of service that you're communicating with your customers and you're sending them photos, that's awesome. I love it. But also use photos like, if you're going to show them their tires, then show them a picture of what the tire tread, should look like. Because then that example, again, you're creating value with this, which is huge. Because now I'm like, oh, wow, like, wow, my brake pads are really bad. But if you just send me that photo, I'm kind of like, oh, well, he said they're bad, so I guess I'm going to take their word for it. They're bad. I don't know, right?
You
So
know
show
what,
me.
Sarah, you've actually got a great point. And you know what, this applies to all different businesses. For example, we work with a painting company. And when we show those before and after photos of a kitchen, like we could talk like we talk tech in the auto repair world, but like construction too. Oh, we were looking at joists and there was like, we can use all different kinds of like terminologies. It'll be like, huh? But really, the customer just wants to see the end result, right? So if you can show, here's what your kitchen will look like, and here's what your kitchen looks like now, and they're like, yes, give me that kitchen.
No, well, yeah, we were getting paint and they're like, do you want this like eggshell or satin? Can you show me what they look like? Because I don't know. Like, yeah, exactly. Like have a visual of something, especially, creating that value. It's just really, really important to be able to show us the difference because um I didn't grow up, my dad worked on cars my whole life, but I didn't grow up working on a car. Like I don't know what brake pads should look like. I don't know what the inside of my car looks like. And a lot of millennials don't either. Like it's just not, I don't know how to change my oil. Like, it's just things we weren't taught growing up. So just because you're doing this every single day and this is your whole life and you know the inside and outside of a car doesn't mean that your customer does. So really take the time to connect with us and show us and explain to us what it is that's happening, why it's important that it's taken care of, and then once it is taken care of, just explaining all the things that you did. So I walk away knowing what I paid for and what I got. And, I just think that's really important. Something else that I want from an automotive repair shop is send me mail. I love getting things in the mail. And this is where my brother and I differ. He's Gen X and he could not agree with me less. He's like, I hate getting stuff in the mail. It's junk mail. I don't want it. I get excited to get the mail every single day. I've maybe trained myself that way because there's a good chance that there's packages coming in the mail of things that I've ordered, my makeup subscription, things that come that I'm excited about, that I like getting in the mail. But I also like ads in the mail. When an ad comes in the mail, I'm likely to flip through them. When an
Oh
ad
yeah,
comes in
oh
the
yeah.
mail,
Renee and I every week we get the coupons to Renee's favorite fast food places. So if it's Subway or if it's Carl's Jr. or whatever, we're like, woo! And when there's nothing that is of value, we're like, toss it.
right, but you still look at it. Like I'm gonna look at it. You send me a coupon in my email, I'm probably not even gonna open it. So that's where like the difference is, my dad also thinks like mail is bad. It's junk and it's bills. To me, that's my email box. My email is junk and bills. If you're taking the time to physically send me something, I'm really excited about it. Or like a thank you card. Let's say I came in and had a big repair done, or even just had my oil change done. Send me a thank you. And if you're gonna do the thank yous and that kind of thing, make it personal, handwrite it. I hate getting mail that looks like it's handwritten, but you know it's not. Like, you know, like they've printed 5,000 of these. They didn't take the time to actually like hand write it out. When I worked at the dealership, we hand wrote every single thank you card we sent out. We personalized them. We talked about the vehicle that they bought. You know, we made it very personal. And that's what I want. I want to know that I like to feel special. I want to know that you care that I came in. I want to know that I'm appreciated. So send me mail. I love getting things in the mail. But on that note, there's also things I don't like to get in the mail. So I have an example of something that this literally came to us, I think last week. It was an ad in the mail for a car dealership. And on the back, it has these pull tabs on it. And so you pull them. I don't know if you can see on the bottom, there's one that says winner, and it has a picture of 3 cars on it, right?
That looks pretty clever, actually.
And then you look over on the key here, and you match up where the 3 cars are, and it says prize examples, $10,000 cash. So according to this, if you just looked at this, I just won $10,000 in cash. But I'm a millennial who's used to getting scammed all the time. You know, like we've been raised to not click on things, to not open things. We understand that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, $10,000 cash, right? And I'm like, okay, so it says prize examples. Doesn't say prize key, it says prize examples. And then if I flip up this bottom piece, underneath it in very small writing, it says, matching symbols are not associated with a specific prize. Prize winners are determined by entering the barcode number on the mail piece through a kiosk at the event location. This is so trash to me. Like, this feels so scammy and
Right.
so like bait and switchy, and just like I will, and we're actually thinking about replacing my husband's vehicle right now. I will never set foot in this dealership. I will not go. This to me makes it feel like they're taking advantage of people, because I know, like, I think of like my mother or my husband's mother who would fall for this and go in and think, I just won $10,000 in cash. And that just, like, that bothers me. It turns me off huge, you know. So if you're going to send mail, I would highly recommend staying away from the scratch offs and the pull tabs and the scammy kind of stuff. Like, make it personal, make it, you know, something that's actually legit. There's even like on the inside, there's a little fake check for like trading cat. Like, it just, this is such a to me.
Okay,
Like,
so here's a funny story. I actually saw this on a client's Facebook post, and it was a newspaper article from way back about a woman who worked for a restaurant, and there was a contest, and the prize was a Toyota, and she won the prize, and she was so excited. And then you see what her prize was. It was from Star Wars, a toy Yoda. Get it? Yoda doll. It was a toy Yoda doll, and she thought she was getting a car. And her face said it all, and she was pissed.
yeah,
and
that's it. Like,
sounds too good to be true. Right.
Your millennial and Gen Z customers are smarter than this. Your customer, even your boomer and Gen X customers, should be smarter than, like, if you're gonna market, you know, and send mail, just don't insult our intelligence, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, it's such a turn off to me. It's very, very off-putting. I don't like it at all. But I do love getting mail. And you know what? I did open this and I did look at it and I did read it, where if they had sent this in my email, I would have never even looked at it. So there is a benefit to sending mail, but definitely, you know, stay away from scammy stuff is what I would say on that. Something else that I want from an automotive shop is to be convenient. What if I'm working 8 to 5 and you're only open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and that's when I'm working? That's not convenient for me. I need a way to be able to drop off my vehicle after hours or pick it up after hours, pay over the phone, all of those things that are, and I think since COVID, we've really learned how to become convenient to people. I know we have shops that have even gone as far as going out and picking up vehicles for people and dropping them off when they're done. Sign me up. Like, I don't even have to leave my house. Sign me up. Like, that's the best thing ever. If you're going to come and pick up my car, work on it, bring it back, and I pay over, you know, the app or the, you know, online or however, that's like the most convenient thing ever, you know. And we're getting everything delivered right now. I can get groceries delivered to my house. I can get Starbucks delivered to my house. I don't have to ever leave my house if I don't want to. So just having that convenience offered or just having an option to where I can, you have a key box so I can drop off my vehicle after hours, or, a shuttle service to get me back home after I drop, whatever you can do to go above and beyond and offer that convenience. Because I think, especially when it comes to me and my friends, the number one reason we're not bringing our cars in is because it's not convenient to our lifestyle. We're like, we don't have time. It's not on the top of our priority list. But the more convenient you make it, the more you think for me. So you tell me when my oil change is due and I don't have to remember. And then you make it so easy for me to make an appointment through an app. And then you offer a way for me to get home, or you offer to come pick up my vehicle. Like, why wouldn't I do it? You just made it so easy for me. Now I'm going to do it. I follow somebody on Instagram who was during lockdown was talking about how great it was to have doctor's appointments online. She was like, I actually did my checkup online. And these are things we never do because it's just something it's not on the top of our priorities, whatever. But it was so easy and so convenient. Like, if this was how things work all the time, I would be checking in as often as I'm supposed to. So just the more convenient we can make things, the more likely you are to see your customers coming in, especially in that millennial age group. Something else that I want as far as convenience is I want other options when it comes to a loaner car. So I have a lot of anxiety about driving in the first place. I have a ton of anxiety when it comes to driving a vehicle that's not my own. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to drive a loaner car. I don't want to drive a car that doesn't belong to me. So have an option to drop me off. Have an option like an Uber or a Lyft that you'll offer to give me a credit for an Uber and I can get home that way. But just think about all of your customers, because I think a loaner car is something that we've always sort of gone to. Oh, well, your car's gonna be at the shop for a couple of days, we'll get you a loaner car. It doesn't work for me. I don't want that. That doesn't fit into my lifestyle. I wouldn't drive it. I would feel really, really anxious about driving a car. And that could be just a me thing. I don't know that this is everyone in my generation feels this way. Me personally, though, I don't want to drive a loaner car. So and you might have the customer who does. So I'm not saying get rid of the loaner car at all. I'm just saying have another option, because that might not be what everybody is looking for. To me, I would rather you be like, oh yeah, just get an Uber and we'll give you a credit for it. Like, that would be convenient for me. I use Uber all the time. It's easy for me to understand. But then now you might have somebody like my mom who's never used Uber and would be like, I don't even know the first thing about getting on that app or getting an Uber. So I think a big part of this is not just like this. A lot of the things I'm talking about today, this is not do things only this way. It's have options to fit all the needs of all of your customers. Like, there's not one specific, because mail is not going to be what every customer wants. An Uber is not going to be what every customer wants. An app is not going to be what every single one of your customers want. But you are going to have that group of customers who really want those things. So just make sure that you have options available that kind of encompass all of your generations and all of your customers that are coming to you. Something else I want is eco-friendly. I know we're kind of running out of time, so I don't think I have too many slides here. So if you're probably already doing things that are eco-friendly in your shop, but just let people know, share about it, put it on your social media, talk about it, talk about how you're recycling parts or using, you've gone paper-free and all of those things, because I think a lot of shops do this already anyway, but what a huge selling point to millennials who really care about this stuff. So just share it, let us know, have a sign up in your waiting room somewhere that talks about all the things that you do that's eco-friendly. And then be transparent. I cannot hit this home hard enough to be transparent. Don't be
digital visual inspections. Yeah. Digital visual inspections are so wonderful because of that transparency, when you can literally digitally show and tell. So smart.
Yep. And we were talking earlier about photos, and I don't know if everyone was on when we were talking about, I do social media for clients, and sometimes just getting shops to send me photos is so hard. And that's what people want. We want real photos. I want to see the actual people who work in the shop. I don't want to see stock photos. I don't want to see the stock photo of an inside of a car. I want to see the waiting room that I'm actually going to be going to. If I am making an appointment online and I talked to Chris and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to see Chris on Thursday, I want to be able to go to the website, look for the picture of Chris, and go, that's who I'm looking for. Because now I walk in and that takes so much of the uncomfortableness out of it for me, because now I'm like, I know what the outside of the building looks like. So when I'm driving there, I know what I'm looking for. I know what the waiting room looks like. I know what it's going to look like when I walk in, and I know who I'm looking for. So transparency covers a lot of things, you know, sharing photos that are actual real photos, sharing information, the digital inspections, just being as transparent as possible with things that are going on. You know, something happened and the car might not get done when you told them it was going to get done. Call them and let them know, like be upfront about it, be transparent, that kind of a thing. That's just really, really, really big with millennials is transparency. And that's, we're very transparent as a generation. We share everything pretty openly about our lives. So we just kind of want that in return. And then that's it for my
Oh
slides.
my
So I'm
gosh,
gonna
you're amazing. Look at that. Your timing was impeccable. Holy moly.
talk really fast.
No, it's great. Okay, I love this presentation. I would love it if everyone took themselves off of mute and let's ask questions of Sara. We've got 5 minutes before the top of the hour, but truly, Sara, this is what I love about you, right? We're in the same field. We're doing the same things. We're preaching the same message. But what I love is your delivery. I love your graphics. I love how it's totally uniquely you. I love all the glitter. I love all the pink. It's just beautiful. You continue to be you. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
really, you're absolutely right. We need to make sure that all of our clients feel like they're special. Roll out that red carpet and have different options because I prefer a rental car. I love that you state that you have anxiety because I agree with you. If I were to be given a Tesla, I have no idea how to drive that thing, right?
Mhm.
I feel like I'm going to need special, and even just the other night, we were visiting with friends who are visiting us from Hawaii, and they're borrowing their friend's Lexus. And she's, because I drive a Mini, I recognized you got to have your foot on the brake. You got to push the button. And our friend drives an older Honda, so she's in this Lexus, and she's like, I don't know how to start this car. I don't know how to get in. You're right. Like the way that technology is evolving with the cars, it's like, am I going to wreck my friend's car? Like,
Right.
I want to
Yeah.
do.
My car has eyesight, so I'm so used to driving with eyesight. And then I go to drive my husband's truck, which doesn't have it. And if I put it into cruise, I'm like, wait, I actually have to hit the brake if there's a car in front of me. Like it's just not, I'm just not used to it. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I remembered reading an article about a really tragic accident that happened at the Santa Cruz Wharf. There was a car that was totally modified for a person that was disabled, and it had 3 pedals. And for whatever reason, the person who drove normal cars thought that this one pedal was the brake, and it actually was the accelerator. And there was a tragedy that happened with that. So it was a modified, it was anyway, but yes, not all cars are standard to what you know, right?
Right.
It's amazing. But oh, such a great presentation. What questions do we have? Rosemary, I'm so glad you're here, girlfriend. As a
Oh,
trial
hi.
as a trial attorney, what awesome information did you glean out of Sara's discussion about the younger generations and how it applies to your business?
The exact same thing you said about I'm used to loaner cars, but I kind of am starting because I worry about the liability. And I think that's our age thing. We think, but yeah, I've gotten from car places, Lyft and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's so smart because then you don't have to spend the money on like a shuttle place. They used to have a shuttle. Um, and also the loaner car, this is kind of funny. Just a quick thing is that someone once gave me a loaner car, it was a small mechanic, his own little business, and he had like a 16-year-old daughter, I'm not sure. So he gave me his loaner car, I was fixing it, and I stopped at a stop sign, and being the paranoid person I am about insurance, I leaned over to the glove compartment because that's my thing, and a half bottle of vodka fell out of the glove compartment.
Wow.
And yeah. So of course I pulled over and thought I could have been cited for this. So I put it in the trunk. And then when I returned it, I didn't know whether I should say anything. And I just decided I'm going to put it back in the glove compartment. And I didn't want to deal with it. You know, I thought it could be a 16-year, he'll figure out. I'm sure he'll know that it's not mine, I think. You know,
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, yeah, I gleaned a lot, like as a consumer, of all those tips. Those are what I want to see. So anyway, I really liked it. And oh,
Yeah.
one thing you said about President Trump or whoever president was, I say the same thing. I say the same thing about bumper stickers, because most people, I like to put like, I support the sheriff, thinking I'm going to get out of a ticket. But then you always got to think, well, what about the CHP? They might not like the sheriff, or the police association. Some people don't like them. So I think, same thing. You don't want to say, even if you think you're being nice. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. I love it. And
Thank you.
Renee, Chris, Nicholas, Lolly, did you guys get any cool ideas? Or because Chris was actually, I think you said something like the hashtag, something about
incentivizing prizes, like you use contests with prizes to get those hashtags incentivized. So once you have a good hashtag to come up with, you put it up somewhere on a sign and says, hey, put it in and we'll have our weekly or a monthly drawing and stuff, and boom, you've got them putting out for you big ads.
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, totally great ideas. Yeah, or even like you take like a boring building, you put some wings up on the side of the building for a space for someone to stand there. Like everyone wants to have that Instagrammable shot, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stuff. Like
I
put
think
the
there's even a
hashtag
museum
there.
somewhere now that has like it's like a selfie museum where you go in and there's like all these different setups to take selfies at. I was like, who would have ever thought that would be a thing? But it is. So yeah.
That is so cool. Well, if
A
anybody wants
selfie
to get a hold,
museum.
yeah, right. If anybody wants to get a hold of Sarah, please make sure that you grab her information. In fact, I'm going to write this down: sfraser0815@gmail.com. But no, truly, Sarah, you've been amazing. And thank you so
My
very
email
much
is
for
my birthday.
today.
So if any of you guys want to like stage my husband and wish me a happy birthday on Facebook.
Happy birthday, happy anniversary. We'll make sure that we
No, not yet.
Yeah,
It's
we'll say
8:15.
happy birthday.
All
I
right,
give him
everybody,
crap for
thank
this all
you
the
so much for
time.
coming to the summit today. Tomorrow, we're going to have Angie Lopez, who's an attorney, who is going to be
Yes.
showing us some ideas about what she does as an attorney and how she gets through life. So, lessons from an attorney tomorrow. Awesome. All right, everybody. Love you. Thank you,
you.
Sarah. You've been
Thank you.
awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
See you guys later. Bye.
All right.